Hello students, it's Miss Strickland here. Today I'm going to talk with you about point of view. Point of view. The point of view in a work of literature is determined by the narrator. That is the person telling the story. The narrator may be the author or a character in the story, book, play, or poem. If the narrator is a character, this is known as first person point of view. One way to recognize this is the use of pronoun I by the narrator. This is similar to hearing a person telling you a story about something that happened or what they experienced firsthand. Third person point of view. Third person point of view is a whole lot different from first person point of view. Third person point of view is when the author or the narrator is telling the story. This is known as third person point of view. What are some pronouns that show third person point of view? Well, these pronouns are he, she, they, and them. There are two types of third person point of views. We have limited and we have omniscient. With limited third person point of view, the author relates the events of the story from the perspective of only one character. This is known as limited third person point of view. The reader can see into the mind of only one person. That's limited. Third person omniscient. If the author relates the events of the story from the perspective of several characters, this is known as omniscient point of view. The reader is able to see all thoughts of all characters. Now we're going to take some time and practice here. I will show you guys a series of passages and we will determine not only if it's third person point of view or first person point of view, but we will also determine whether it's third person limited or third person omniscient. Example A. Mr. Johnson looked at Charles sternly. If you have a stern look on your face, that means you are very, very serious about what you're getting ready to say. He simply didn't know what to do with this boy. Charles had been in Mr. Johnson's office twice earlier this week. Now here he was again, and this time he was charged with something much more serious. Mr. Johnson shook his head. There really was no doubt in his mind. Charles was guilty. He looked at the police officer standing next to Charles. No question whatsoever. Charles had done it. Well, we don't know what Charles did, but we know that he was a really bad man, or a really bad boy, because it says here, he simply didn't know what to do with this boy. So Charles was a whole lot younger than Mr. Johnson. Now, we have a couple pronouns. We have he. We also have he again. We also have his. We have his again. And he. So everywhere you see he, his, this, that. All right. Now, is this third person point of view, limited, or third person point of view, omniscient? As I mentioned, we have he everywhere in this passage. We also have his. So we're not really looking in the mind of Charles. We're looking more in the mind of Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson was not happy. Therefore, this point of view for this excerpt is third person limited. The author is not a character telling the story because it's not in first person point of view. We can see only what Mr. Johnson is thinking. We know what Mr. Johnson thinks, but we don't know what the officer or what Charles is thinking. We also don't know whether or not Charles is really guilty. But from the look that Mr. Johnson saw, Charles was guilty.